The Justin Robert Young Daily Show is brought to you, as always, by PayJuryDaily.com. I played the wrong music. We're getting off to a great start. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the JuRY Daily program. My name is Justin Robert Young. We do it daily up in this bitch, and today, August 20th, 2018, is no different. I got a lot of emails and YouTube comments that we got to read about the share your rejection stuff from Thursday, and I want to start things out by letting everybody know about a strange way that I opened up my week. So, for those of you who are not aware, among the million things that I do, one of the things that I do is The Contender, the game of presidential debate. And so, my co-creator on this game, John Teasdale, and I were at the Gen Con convention a couple weeks ago. And we got to talking about places that we should be trying to sell this thing to. And so one of the things that we got to talking about was selling it to presidential libraries. So, as some of you guys may or may not be aware, it has become commonplace recently over the last handful of presidents, dozen presidents for sure, and sporadically throughout history for the really, really, really important presidents, that you have a library. It's effectively a little museum for yourself. So it has now been my goal throughout this week that I'm calling up these presidential libraries. And because I live in Oakland, and the vast majority of presidents, in fact, there's only two presidential libraries that are on the West Coast, Reagan and Nixon. That's it. Other than that, they're all on the East Coast, and the vast majority of them are in the Eastern Seaboard. So I have to do this shit first thing in the morning. I got to wake up, I go to the gym, I come back, and before I even shower, I'm sitting down, and I am cold calling presidential libraries. Now, I don't really have a tremendously interesting story, except to say that, man, there is a wide diversity of people that work at presidential libraries. You know, you have the Mount Vernon one that I called today. They were very, very nice, but it was more of a professional thing. And then John Adams and John Quincy Adams have a joint library. And that apparently is on a national park. So I speak to a very, very nice man who's a park ranger who just happens to be there at the visitor center where they have the library. So it was just very interesting to call. Yeah, I talked to one person. It's like, oh, yes, okay. Please go ahead and email us at bleep at Mount Vernon. And I'm like, cool, okay, excellent. Then I call the Adams Library, and the guy has the accent. Y'all know the Boston accent. I don't want to really embarrass myself by doing the park the car and have it yet. When he's like, yeah, hello? Uh-huh. What, like, a card game? Oh, okay. Yeah, she'll be in a little later. In about 2 hours. I see her all day. It's pretty fun. It's been an interesting thing. So I might poke back in on this show with my tour of cold calling our presidential libraries throughout the next couple weeks. All right, another new segment that I want to introduce to you guys. Every once in a while, I get really cool articles, like not necessarily like long reads or whatever, but just cool articles that I think you guys might be interested in, and I can put them up on the descriptions. And this one came from Trent Reynolds, who sends me a lot of them. It's the biggest strip club faux pas according to actual strippers. This was a little feature that got put up because 50 Cent put out a video on Instagram of him. This is 50 here in the white. Apparently, the stripper was saying something that was not to his liking, and so he here on the video version just starts taking his money back. Now, this is apparently the cardinal sin of strip clubs, and you can read all about why that is not just an asshole thing to do. That is like you should be banned from the strip club for the rest of your life kind of move if you go ahead and read it. So if it's in the YouTube description or on the podcast description or on patreon.com/JuRY But first, let's go ahead and get into your email, because we did get a lot of share your rejection emails. But before we get to those, let's get to the rest of them. Paul wrote, just a quick note. The daily format is excellent, and your Alex Jones bits are absolutely hilarious. Good choices on the way that the show is evolving. So I really like the characters, and we had a really fun Friday Hype Train episode last Friday where we just kind of went into free-form Alex Jones improv. That I kind of think, I mean, I don't know whether it's like a character takeover of an episode or if I should just lean into it and whenever there's, something interesting that I do an impression of, I'll just kind of lean into it more. But if you guys like the impressions, I always kind of feel a little self-conscious about the impressions because they're not necessarily good. I mean, I think I do, for whatever reason, I do 3 accurate impressions. Impressions for which people have said, oh my God, that sounds like the person. One of them is Alex Jones. The other is Rush Limbaugh. And then, of course, there's John Stossel. A lot of people say, I sound like John Stossel. After all, he's been a television personality for decades. Why wouldn't somebody be able to do a credible parody? I sat down and asked Justin Robert Young's psyche to find out whether or not it was too fragile to lean into the idea that maybe he's an impressionist. I have no idea why all of my accurate impressions are conservative leading mouthpieces. It's just the way that it shook out. They're the funniest ones to me to do. But I don't know. I'm not sure whether or not people want that from me. People seem to enjoy it, but I don't know whether or not it's a real fine line between I'm a professional impressionist and I'm the asshole who's doing the bit at the party that everybody's sick of. So there's that. Thank you very, very much, Paul. Cody on YouTube wrote, I probably shouldn't watch this at work when you're shouting "come" at the top of your lungs for 4 minutes. That is probably a safe bet. Oh, by the way, somebody, Amish Overlord here, says maybe you should become a conservative pundit. I've thought about doing some kind of parody character, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to commit to it. I mean, maybe I could try some stuff out. I do want to do more stuff on this YouTube channel, though. I think this is just a good, steady drumbeat of stuff. But maybe actually do, I don't know, YouTube videos. I think this is about the time when it's the best time to get into YouTube, right? 2018? I certainly haven't missed the boat by 10 to 15 years, right? This is perfect time. All right, let's go ahead and get into your share your rejection emails. Gibson wrote, about a year ago, I tried applying for the Senate Page program via Sherrod Brown. In case you don't know, the Page program is an elite internship where you go to Washington, D.C. for a semester and serve more or less as paper boys for the Senate. There are about 50 slots, and each senator gets to nominate somebody for every other session. I spent probably 10 hours on my application, racking my brain over my essay on how the Democratic strategy for combating the tax bill should have been to try and get stuff like adding on provisions for unborn fetuses taken out instead of just obstructing it. The website said that they would be in contact, so I waited for about 3 months before calling the listed number. I expected that I'd been rejected, but I hadn't heard anything about it, so I wanted to know for sure. I got a woman on the phone who laughed at me and told me that my application probably hadn't even been looked at. That since my parents weren't donors, I didn't have a prayer of getting that slot. The worst part wasn't that I'd been rejected. I'd expected that. The part that sticks to me even now is because my parents didn't have enough money to donate to Brown's campaign. I was being passed over for some rich kid whose parents could. All right. I gotta know this. Gibson, I gotta know. Did the person you talked to, were they in Sherrod Brown's office, or were they in the Senate Page program writ large? I'm very curious to know who you got on the phone that was selling wholesale truth at a discount to just fucking let you know, yeah, homie, get fucked forever. Because unless you're ponying up that sweet coin, you ain't never getting in here. Keith wrote, I spent about a decade working various jobs in radio all over the country, trying to get to the point where I could land my dream job at a very high-profile station in my hometown. It took a long time with many more steps than I ever would have expected, but I eventually got there. And when I was hired, I was asked to help a comedian build a new show from the ground up, which I did. As soon as she was officially given the job, she immediately turned on me. She repeatedly lied about me on the air and said even worse and equally untrue things about me to management off the air. Management thankfully did not believe her claims and moved me to another job, which was great, until a few months later when there were massive layoffs. It took me 10 years to get my foot in the door, and I ended up working there for a grand total of 8 months. Holy shit. That's some fucking Truman Show level rejection. That is immersive theater. That is Old Boy. That is just intense. To go that long and get fired from your dream job. Also, it probably is a good sign that, look, all that glitters isn't gold. And you finally got to the promised land and realized it was a viper's nest for viper people. I hear voices. CJ writes, I send an emails to you about really embarrassing things, and even though you're not revealing my name, I still sit and cry to myself and say, why the fuck did I think that was a good idea? Wait a minute. Let me go ahead and make sure that CJ didn't tell me to not use his name here, too. All right. He doesn't specifically say that. And he does reference to some things that are public. So, all right. So, CJ has written embarrassing stories, and I haven't used his name, but he still has these thoughts that, why the fuck did I send that in? I try to get more people on my podcast, and every time I send an email to people, and even though they say, I know they say, sorry, I'm already booked for that time, instantly I think it's me, they listen to my horseshit show, and they hate me. I try to expand out my professional career because podcasting doesn't pay the bills, and I get told I shouldn't try. I've been doing X for 14 years, and when I try to do Z, I get laughed at or told I need to be an intern or get paid literally 1/6 of what I was strictly for trying. I break down, I cry, I take my meds, and I hope that the next day is better. Thank you for sharing your rejections and allowing us a platform. CJ, I mean, I think the thing is that what you're saying is not rare. And that can be taken two ways. Either A, no one wants to hear me bleat and moan. Or number two, wow, everybody gets this. So at the very least, I'm not a freak. I might be going through some stuff, but everybody goes through some stuff. I mean, if there's ever one time where you can say, hey, at least I'm part of the average, it's with rejection, right? Anonymous Canadian diamond clubber who wanted to become a cop, who also did the wrong thing. People are making this comment here in the chat, and please do. If you don't want me to use your name, please put it in the subject line. Please put it in all caps at the top. Don't wait until the very end to say, oh yeah, please don't use my name, because sometimes I'll use your name. And this anonymous Canadian cop hopeful definitely did that. But I did read all of it, so it's fine. Here we go. Man, did I gauge my chances of being a cop wrong, despite believing that I was very well qualified. I applied to my first department. Nope. Guess I didn't showcase myself well in the interview. Second one made it to the final stages to be bumped again. Damn it. Okay, I'll be a little less picky and apply to a variety of departments around my preferred community. Oh, and the other fun part about the application process is you had to disclose each place you applied to and why they didn't take you. Really makes you self-conscious about each rejection. I applied to about a dozen places, only getting an interview or the polygraph test a few times. Getting kicked in the nuts with rejection time and time again. Cops give fucking people a polygraph test? For real? Despite the fact that that shit's like fake? Goddamn, Canada, I thought you guys had your shit together. Is that a thing with cops? If you're a cop, write in, please. Do you guys fucking polygraph each other to get the job? Jesus. Fuck, for real? God damn. I watch my friends from my community all get solid middle-class jobs, seemingly with less effort, while I worked a whole lot of Joe jobs. Friends would ask, hey, any luck applying yet? Nope. I'm so glad to talk about it each and every time we catch up. Took me 6 years of rejection before I finally made it in, and man, do I love my job, and I'm good at it too. But I still get frustrated about all that rejection, especially when I see others in my line of work that appear to only look at it as a job or get in seemingly with significant less skill or persistence than I put in. I don't know if I learned some kind of grand lesson, and by no means am I one of those that believes everything happens for a reason baloney. All I know is that regardless of those, I see not that seem not as appreciative. It sure has made me thankful for my persistence. That's the goal of these stories, right? The goal of these stories is so everybody understands that hard work does pay off and that everybody, the most successful people you might know, are the ones who suffered the most rejection. It is literally having that thick skin and learning. Those are two different things, by the way. Understanding that you're going to get kicked in the nuts and then learning why you got kicked in the nuts, even if it's unfair, go hand in hand with success. In fact, many would say that is the key reason for it. I want to thank our producers. The ranks are swelling. You can become a producer on this show by getting in at payjurydaily.com. The Jen, Edie Rave, Non-Specific, Rock and Roll Martian, Joe, Acosta, and Will. Thank you so much. Email jurydaily@gmail.com if you want to get your emails in on the show or leave a comment right here on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Justin Robert Young. Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Justin R. Young. Hashtag join the conversation at diamondclub.reddit.com. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's a new week. Yes, it is. And until tomorrow, please, go, go!
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.